darlings, and welcome to another broadcast of The Curious Mind of Raquel. So today is going to be a bit of a prattle, but also a little mummy coming to the rescue of teaching you, darling dear mermaid hearts, why you should really reconsider whether or not you want to force an SP. I've never done this before, but I thought what I wanted to do is, because how often do we have this issue of where it's like, I don't want to listen to this person or that person. Prudence is agreeing, okay? That's why she showed up in the video. That, like I said, I have never shared this particular story before, and I feel it pertinent to share it. Why we should not force an SP. And I have refrained from telling this story for quite some time. Like, I've never shared this story. And it wasn't because I was ashamed or anything of that nature, but the reason that I didn't want to share it was because I did not think that it held relevancy. But having seen the things that I see on the social media and the platform of YouTube, and people are constantly talking about SPs, and for those of you that do not understand what SP means, it stands for specific person. And I'm going to share my specific person story. And it might be something that would be beneficial and that you will derive benefit from this video. So let me take you back to 2009. Now, at this time, I was married to my previous ill-suited mate. And I had, and if you've read my blog, you know this as well. I've spoken of it briefly, but not in, just in context a little bit, but not in depth. In 2009, when I was married to my ex-ill-suited mate, I had an emotional affair. Not a sexual one, but an emotional affair. But I was absolutely head over heels, bonkers in love with this particular SP. He was my ex-husband's best friend at the time. I really wanted to be with him, and I was so willing, in fact, to be with him because my marriage had been on the rocks for many, many years. However, I was very much deep into religion still at that time, so it was very, very difficult situation for me. However, I had grown completely attached to this person, and I felt though that I had a friendship, a literal friendship with him. And let's call him MJ. He knows who he is. But for entertainment purposes only, I will dignify that with a clarifying notion of, you have been warned that I don't want to be sued. Okay, so we're going to say MJ. And carried on a private relationship in the sense that we both started making small moves. And this carried on for quite some time. Well, because of religion had an interfering fact, I basically was going to divorce my ex-mate, and I wanted to be with this SP. And so we were not in great contact after the whole thing was revealed. My husband knew about it and all of that, because I confessed to it and said that that was the situation, and I wanted out of the marriage, and I wanted to be with this person. In fact, I even flew, unbeknownst to anyone in my family or my husband at that time, I even separated from him for 6 months. No one knew it. And moved in with one of my girlfriends and planned a trip, went cross country, and I still was not in contact with this person. He would once on occasion contact my husband, but he would not contact me. So there was no contact for quite a long time. So because it was driving me absolutely mad, I flew cross country because I was going to confront him and basically say, you need to make a decision. Well, when I got there cross country, he wanted to sleep with me, as he had done many times, wanted to sleep with me. But because I was in religion at the time, I did not deem that as serious of a situation as if I were to have slept with him. I mean, in here, understandably, I'm not judging anyone, and I hope that no one judges me as well, because you never know when you're in a situation that you should never judge other people, because you might come into the little conundrum yourself, and then won't that be such a nasty thing, right? That will be the fuzzy end of the lollipop. Let's just say that. Therefore, I would not sleep with him, because I knew that I would regret it, and he had been known to sleep around loads and loads, and I did not want to be that kind of person. I wanted to be the kind of person that was like, no, I really want to be with this person. Now, I continually force that. Now, let me not retract, but I want to go back and tell you, with my then current husband that I ended up being with for 25 years before I filed for a divorce, that I completely insisted on being with him. And at that time, when I was young, he was my SP. I wanted to be with him, and I made sure that it was going to happen. And you know that old saying, be careful what you wish for, because that relationship ended up being a terrible, terrible relationship. So this is why I am admonishing you. Okay, so let me go back and finish telling you. So I come back home after traveling cross country to see my SP. And once again, I would not sleep with him. So he basically stonewalled me and didn't want to have anything to do with me. Well, 2 years went by and no contact. Then I kept manifesting that I wanted contact with him. I wanted contact with him. And he messaged me on Pinterest. And this is the way that he did it. So he would secretly, you know, those particular apps back in that day, I guess 2012, where you can message someone and it disappears within like a couple of hours or 24 hours or something like that, and no one can detect it. This is how we used to communicate. And so unbeknownst to me, he was doing this, and I later found out that he was carrying on a relationship with the person that he is now married to. And they now have 3 children. Okay, so he was also, unbeknownst to me, carrying on a relationship with 2 other women. At the same time, he was courting all of us. One in Florida, he would see me in Florida, he would see the other gal in Utah, and whoever else, I don't know. But I received messages from many people came out of the woodwork when I divorced my ex-husband, and that trail of people behind that SP. So there was a lot of people coming out of the woodwork wanting to tell me things that I had no knowledge or privy to. So what I'm telling you is that I ended up getting so frustrated about this because I wanted him to make a choice. And we're going on now 6 years with maybe 3 times of being in contact with him. Like blocked me on Instagram, blocked me on social media, stopped following me, but then he would secretly follow me like on Twitter or X. So he was keeping up with me, and I knew that he was. And he would reach out on occasion, just enough to get me to hang on a bit. Well, finally, in 2015, I had been planning my divorce. Remember, you darlings know this, that if you've watched my videos and you've watched all of the evolution of me filing for divorce from my ex-ill-suited mate and becoming like a strong woman and becoming independent financially and all of that, that I was starting to make choices, that I was no longer going to accept things and behavior from other people, especially men, that I did not deem acceptable. And I was no longer accepting little breadcrumbs. I was no longer accepting it. So one day he messaged me on Pinterest through the messaging. And this was in 2015. So this is putting me at 6 years of holding on to my SP, okay? Holding on to my SP and only having 3 times of actual contact within those 6 years. I held on to listening to songs, to listening to things that he had told me, to the things that he had written me in messages, and I saved them. And I might look as though I'm your grandmommy, okay? I wear old-fashioned clothes. I am older. I am probably old enough to be many of your grandmothers and your parent, okay? I understand that. But what I'm telling you is that have you ever thought that the reason you're not with this SP is because you need to trust your inner guidance system? That your inner guidance system knows there's a reason why you aren't with that person right now. Because perhaps the vortex aspect of you knows better than you do, because you are in human form. We are landlocked mermaids right now. And perhaps it might not be the best thing that you want in your life. All of the things. So let me in this conversation with you, my darling dear mermaid hearts. I finally, in 2015, gave him an ultimatum because I was deciding, remember I told you I was going to change my life. I was divorcing my ex-husband. No one knew. My ex-husband did not know that I was planning the divorce decree that I was going to file as soon as I got to my parents in Florida. And like I said, no one knew what I was doing. And so when I got that message, and he is basically telling me, you're the one that got away, and he would always leave codes on Pinterest, the things that he would pin. So I'm telling you, people are very secretive. And I start to do a little investigative work on my own, a little bit of anthropology. And what I realized was that through speaking with a few people that I knew from my past that were inner circles of this same person, my SP's friends, that they were more than willing to give up information about him and what his shenanigans were up to in Utah. And I had no idea that he was absolutely engaged, courting and sleeping with other people, having people come in. His fiance, the one his wife he's with now, has no clue that he was doing the same thing to her when they were engaged. But the reason that he was with her was because of money. She was a sure, solidified security blanket because he did not have the income like her family fortune does. He was leading me on as well, saying he was moving to Florida and he was going to do this and that we could be together. Now, let me explain. I'm not telling you that this is what your SP is doing. That's not what I'm telling you, loves. I'm telling you this because what I wanted to know with solidification is this person the right person for me? And so when I meditated one day, I decided, after he started writing me that long message on Pinterest and then later deleted it, beforehand, because I knew how he was, I was starting to pick up on things that he was doing, like secretive things, right? So I knew that he was going to delete it because he did not want anyone to find it. Like, I didn't know that it was because all these other women and that he was engaged to be married. I saved the message. But what I did was gave him an ultimatum. Yes, I did. And people say, oh, you shouldn't give him an ultimatum. But you know what? I was tired of this. I had only had 3 times of contact with him, and I was tired of the breadcrumbs. And I basically said, you've got an ultimatum. You need to you're either going to do this or whatever. Like, I'm getting a divorce, whether you are on the bandwagon or not. And he sent me an email saying, because I wished him best birthday wishes on his birthday and always sent him an email. I had his email because you know what? He had a secret email. Yes, this is what they do. I said, you make your choice. Make your choice now. Well, if you know anything about law of assumption, you know that you have to You cannot worship two gods, right? Which means that you have to make a decision. You have to be flaming hot in your decision. Well, that's why I could not get my manifestation of my SP, because I always knew that there was things in my vortex that this person did not have. One of them being a completely loyal, overly, essentially overly loyal. I don't think you could be overly loyal and overly trustworthy, but these were two elements in my life that I needed, because my current marriage at that time, yes, I was married still, knowingly I was getting a divorce from him, is that I could not trust my current husband. He was completely lived two separate lives, and still today still lives two separate lives. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm making is your vortex, the things that the God aspect of you knows the things that you need in a mate. And so I would admonish you to mate with your own soul, and then you will be able to make a decision. And once that decision is absolutely and completely concrete, that your SP or the person you're meant to be with, your twin flame, like me and Jeffrey Sean, will come in. Because the collective, the great creator, God, universe, spirit, cannot intervene with free agency. So as long as you are tied up into wanting this particular person, there's a reason you're not with them. Perhaps it's because you didn't get on too good, right? Perhaps that was what your inner being told you at one time or another. That's why you're not with them. So why are you trying to hammer a round peg into a square hole? Why are you trying to do it? Maybe this needs to come back to you, my darlings. And I say this with all love and all support, because I want you to be happy. But I know from the struggle within my own self of 6 years and having only 3 times of breadcrumbs in contact with my SP that it did not work. Well, when I solidified that conversation and I said, no, you make a choice, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done with this. Well, the darling MJ decided to stonewall me again, not realizing that you've messed with the wrong person. I'm no longer taking this and accepting this behavior. And 2 months later, I was in Florida and Jeffrey Sean came into my life. That's how fast it was. It was literally 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Everything got done. I was in a marriage, had 4 children, in deep religion, So circumstances do not matter. And I had someone that I was looking at that I thought was my SP, my specific person. Oh, I was going to be with him and I dreamt of it. And that wasn't my SP or my twin flame at all. I was accepting unacceptable behavior and things from someone that I was more valuable than I thought I was. So I want to leave that with you. And I hope that it was helpful and that you deemed some benefit from it. I want you to know how much I love you. And if you ever are interested in having a reading or anything like that from me, I don't charge. You can donate a cup of coffee, cup of tea if you'd like to with my PayPal account. But other than that, I would love to help you. Always remembering that you are your own guidance system and that is just a way to guide you. It's to help you to know that you're on the right track. It's not the telling of your fortune and your future and all of that, and it's not negative. It's just a guidance, a way to, oh, I'm going in this direction and this might not be the best thing for me. And so I just wanted to let you know. Sorry, that was the kittens. If you are interested in that, you are more than welcome to comment in the section below or DM me on Instagram if you would like to. All right, my darlings. And remember, I have to say, because of YouTube guidelines, that it is for entertainment purposes only, okay? It's entertainment purposes only. All right, my loves, I hope that you have a lovely day. And as always, I'm most affably yours until my next swim. Cheers, darlings. Toodle pip.